Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Lorraine. My nickname is Rainy and you can call me Rainy. If you've just found my channel, thanks for stopping by. And if you're returning, thanks for coming back. In this video, I wanted to step away from art for a minute and talk about a big move that I made in November last year, just a few months ago. I decided that I needed to move to live closer to one of my sons. And so my son, Jonathan, who lives in Vermont, seemed like the most logical move for me. So a lot of things have happened since the move, and I just wanted to give a few thoughts. If you're planning on making a big move, things to consider. If you're moving from a house into an apartment, things to consider. And just how it's been going so far. So come along. If you have any questions, if you're thinking about making a big move of your own, I would love to hear about it. And if you've already made one and you have some helpful hints on how to adjust in a new place, come on board. Let's start a conversation. Let's go. Let's talk. So I made a big move in November. I moved from a place that I'd lived for more than 40 years in upstate New York. It's actually my son, Jonathan and Michael's hometown. I moved from there to live closer to one of my sons. Jonathan is in Vermont and Michael's in Long Island. So it just seemed like a Vermont environment would be a little bit more compatible to my lifestyle needs, and also I thought that it would be a cheaper place to live. So once I made the decision, of course my house had to be put on the market and sold. I had to do a lot of packing and purging, and I have to say that it did feel overwhelming when I was in the midst of it. I packed for a month, and I had boxes everywhere. I had to have my house on the market. The house sold relatively quickly, and so there was a lot of stress in trying to get things packed and ready to go. Luckily, my son Jonathan's friend Matt has a place that I was able to rent, and so that took a huge stressor off my plate since I knew where I was going. So I moved from upstate New York to Vermont in Rutland, and I just wanted to talk about how things are going and how things have gone over the last little bit. I want to say that the first few weeks, I honestly felt like I was a tourist. So Jonathan and Calico, his wife, were showing me, the points of interest. We took a trip to Weston, to the Vermont Country Store, which is a pretty well-known, they have a couple of stores which are pretty cool. And then they also have a online catalog. And so that was great. And then we stopped for lunch, and it was beautiful. It had snowed, and so on the way to Weston, we were enjoying all of the snow on the trees and in the beautiful scenery. Now, Vermont looks very much like New York, with the exception of the fact that in Rutland, where I am, and in that surrounding area, the Green Mountains are really close. And so I lived in a place in New York where there are hill towns, but here in Rutland there are these beautiful mountains that are so majestic and very close. So I felt like a tourist of the first little bit, and then after I was there for a short while, we had Thanksgiving to contend with, and then Christmas. So those two things were a distraction. And once Christmas was past, I really had to settle in and get into the nitty-gritty of living in this new place where I don't know anyone. I know Jonathan and Calico, of course, and then I know Matt, my landlord, Jonathan's friend, and he's a really nice person. So I know 3 people. And so I knew that before I left that I would have to really step it up and not be a hermit. And so one of the first things I did was I went to a church, the Calvary Bible Church, that's right around the corner. So everything's pretty close by. The people were wonderful. The service was very inspiring. And so originally I was going to shop around for a church, but I loved the format of the service. I love the, music, and the preaching is really great. So I have settled in there as best you can when you really don't know anyone. So that was the first thing that I did. I went to church. The next thing I did was, since I moved into an apartment, I had to go to the laundromat. And I hadn't been to the laundromat in a very long time. And it's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time. And so there is a place where I can have a washer dryer in my apartment. And so I did go ahead and do that. So the one thing that I did want to say is, if you're thinking about moving from a house into an apartment, you might want to consider making sure there are laundry facilities available to there. So I've been doing a lot of walking and with Jonathan and the dogs and trying to get my stuff settled. I still have a storage unit where I have a very large amount of stuff. That's an expense that is something you also need to consider if you're going to need to leave your belongings, any of your belongings, in storage for a lengthy amount of time. I do have to say that I did start to get homesick, and I still do get homesick from time to time because my sister, she lives back in New York, and I have a lot of friends that I made who are wonderful, and I miss them. I'm not that far, so I do go back to visit from time to time, and that's helpful. But I know that I really have to try to establish myself here. And so another thing that I did was I reached out to the local art. They have the Chaffee Art Council, and they have a beautiful spot where they have a shop and they give classes. And so I'm trying to make an effort to reach out to that art community and see what comes. So all in all, it's a challenge. I'm adjusting. It's taking time, and I knew that it would take time, but I'm not going to give up. I'm going to try to stay tough, and of course, I'm just now getting over a cold, which prompted me to drop back for a couple of weeks to recuperate. But now I need to get back into trying to be a participant in my own life. I know big changes are tough, but I don't know what I would do if I didn't have my son and his wife Calico nearby. I see them on a regular basis, and it definitely softens the blow of a big move like that. I can't imagine myself ever making a move where I didn't know anyone at all. And if you've done something that courageous, I would love to hear about it. And even if you've made a move to live closer to family, like I did, I'd love to hear your story and how it's going. So I'm going to continue to explore the area bit by bit, and I'll share with you what I discover. And in closing out this video, I'm just going to share a little watercolor that I've been working on. The winter has been pretty gray around here in Rutland, Vermont. We get a few sunny days, but mostly it seems like it's been gray and cold. So I finally decided just go with it. And so I'm painting the view from a top of one of the hills near the Rutland Country Club. And so I started off with trying to do a loose wash, and I believe I probably made it a little bit too dark, and I didn't do enough pre-planning, but I worked and worked and worked it, and I finished it, and that's what you see here. So anyway, if you have any questions about anything, if you'd like to share your journey with me, I would love to hear it. And in the meantime, until the next one, happy paintings. Blessings to you and your family.